What's up, soccer friends? Welcome to Kickback Committee's Open Mic. I'm your host, Susannah Fuller. So glad to have you all here. Now, if you are new to Open Mic, this is what we're all about, guys. I'm going to be having conversations with some of my friends in the sports media world who might not necessarily cover soccer, but have a connection to the beautiful game. And we've chatted with Charlotte Wilder of the Sports Gossip Show and Mike Ryan of the Le Batard Show. Those were both fantastic episodes. Make sure you check those out. But I've just talked to folks about their sports journeys and explore soccer through lines within those journeys, and we have a lot of fun while doing it. Just a reminder, Open Mic is one of the podcasts that fall under our Kickback Soccer Media umbrella. We've got Soccer Wise. That is a must for any MLS, NWSL, or US soccer fan. We've got First Touch Weekly. That's dedicated to bringing you the biggest stories surrounding the World Cup. And of course, Kickback Committee, which is hosted by yours truly, featuring an incredible lineup of soccer voices offering all kinds of insight and commentary. So make sure you download and subscribe to all of our pods. Follow us on the socials. You can now find us on SiriusXM as well. You can search for us on the SiriusXM app or catch us on select days on SiriusXM FC 157. So for today's Open Mic, I'm very excited. I'm talking to a guy who is one of the most respected voices when it comes to NFL analysis and opinion. Bill Barnwell has been covering the NFL for, nearly 20 years. He's worked at Football Insiders, where he started as an intern, Grantland, and ESPN, where he currently serves as a writer, a talking head, and he hosts his own podcast, The Bill Barnwell Show. And while we ran in the same circles back in the day and would hang out together in Brooklyn with all the other sports writers and digital media personalities, I did not know that he is a huge soccer fan, huge, and apparently goes to New York Red Bulls games all the time. He's traveled the world essentially to go to soccer matches. And he's also really good friends with Matt Doyle, our fellow committee member, which is so cool. So yeah, there is a ton of soccer connectivity here. And I am so excited to explore that with Bill today because he's just an awesome dude. So let's get to it. Bill Barnwell, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to Open Mic. It's been over 10 years, I think, since we've seen each other.
No, is that true?
Yeah.
I feel so old.
Hi.
I know it's been a while. We were in the same place at the same time, and so we saw each other quite often. But then I feel like naturally we moved to different places.
I know.
This incredible space for yourself, and I have just been doing the same dumb football stuff.
No, not the same dumb football stuff. You're an icon, my friend.
Wow.
Do you know, it's funny. So Bill and I, we basically we just ran in the same circles. I was working at SB Nation, and Bill was like a part of this whole digital squad that we had, and we would go out for beers and talk about stupid stuff, sports. By stupid stuff, I mean sports. I'm kidding. We love sports. But it was such a I don't know. It felt like we were at this kind of golden age of it was right when the digital media was sort of starting to percolate and make noise and get attention. And it felt very free, and it felt like we could kind of say whatever we wanted. And I just, I don't know. I look back on those days and with just such fondness and laughing. I just remember laughing a ton with you and Matt Ufford and Ryan Nanny and all those guys, just cracking up.
Yeah, there was something cool about it, right? I had just moved to New York. I was not married with a child as I am right now. It was just that thing of you can stay out till 3 a.m. and then take the subway home or get I guess Uber was a thing. You could take an Uber home at that point.
Yeah, Uber was a thing for sure.
There's going to be a lot of me recalling was X a thing at Y point in the past during this show, I will imagine. Yeah, it was just a really cool moment in time of this is a real thing that's happening. I was at Grantland, and then Grantland shut down 2 months after I moved to New York, which was great. That's another part of digital media is just you sort of time your life by when was this thing I working for stopped existing,
I know.
Which does happen, unfortunately, quite a bit. But it was such a cool moment in time, and getting to see all these different people who I really respected, who covered different sports really well and had all this different insight. It was you could hang out with a someone who knew more about basketball than I could ever imagine knowing about basketball
Mike
or soccer
Prada.
or
Do you remember
baseball.
Mike Prada?
Yes, of course.
Just, I mean, like that guy in NBA,
The King of
like
Queens.
100%. It was, it was so cool. And I when I was working at SB Nation, we were pretty focused on NFL, NBA, and like my love of soccer. Like I was a huge soccer fan. I've been a huge Liverpool fan for years and years, but I never got to talk about it. And so I feel like Matt Ufford was like kind of like a fringe MLS fan. Like he like followed the Seattle Sounders. And so like we would kind of nerd out on soccer stuff every now and again, but I didn't really have that outlet. This is before I was working at MLS. And I didn't know, Bill, that you were a soccer fan. And yes. I feel like I wish I would have known that back then.
And not only was I a soccer fan, but it was truly the best time of my life as a soccer fan, because for about 30 years now, I have been a Leicester City supporter. And this was right when Leicester was winning the Premier League. Yes.
What?
Yes.
Because so that was 2015. I was working at SB. Like we could, oh my gosh, the conversations that we could have had. I remember being
on the subway, going back to Brooklyn, probably from hanging out at SB Nation in Manhattan or somewhere else in Manhattan, and coming above ground right as Spurs were blowing that match. I think it's Chelsea, right? To win Leicester the league. I think I like popped into a Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Brooklyn for like the final 3 minutes of that match, and just celebrated with myself because there were not many, Leicester supporters hanging around at the time.
Oh my, that's incredible. And that was I don't think we're going to see anything like that.
I could say for sure we're not going to see Leicester do it again.
Again, how sad. What the heck? Okay, wait, so how did you become a Leicester fan? Where is that? What's the genesis?
So this could be a very long story. It could be a very short story.
Listen, we got nothing but time on open mic.
I will try to keep it somewhere in the middle. Let's go back to since 1996. So I'm going to say about 30 years ago.
Okay.
So 94 World Cup has happened. I'm watching that as a fan. I know absolutely nothing. I am just a baby. I was 10 years old at the time. Just casually watching games. I'm aware of the U.S. players. I'm aware of some of the other players. Like I'm aware of Roberto Baggio. I'm living in New York City, so I'm surrounded by Italians and like you're. I know some players, but this is still very much and my brain is not formed yet when it comes to soccer. So MLS forms. I'm watching MLS matches. I live in New York, so I become a Metrostars, now of course Red Bull New York supporter, which has worked out really well for me over the ensuing 30 years. Just unbridled wild success. And so I go to a camp in Pennsylvania for the summer for basketball, and the camp is staffed by English students, like clearly like English teenagers or people in their early 20s who want to come to America for the summer, and they bring English newspapers when they come visit. And so there's like this like stash of newspapers, and I'm bored because there's no internet, there's no TV. I'm just sitting there being bad at basketball as an 11-year-old for a week, and I see like all these names and I'm vaguely aware of, like, oh, David Beckham, Roberto Baggio, like there's of course transfer rumors and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is so stupid to say, but it's true. These guys play soccer outside of the World Cup. That hadn't occurred to me when I was watching the World Cup, but like this whole world of like club teams and stuff.
What a concept, yeah.
What a concept, crazy. And I'm like, oh, like my 11-year-old brain is like, oh, that makes sense, but just hadn't occurred to me. I get FIFA, and FIFA has all these teams I've never heard of before. And I'm like, oh, here's this world of teams I actually get to choose and like pick who I can be a fan of. And so I have to set the scene. If you were a fan in 1996, the internet existed. I was able to get on like a Leicester like mailing list, and like there was like a fan site back in the day. But like in terms of what you could actually watch on television, you would get the 2 Tommy Smith Champions League matches during the week for me after school. And because I lived in New York, we got MSG Network, and we got 1 Premier League match a week. And so Saturday afternoon, you could tune in, and there would be 1 match. That wouldn't be live. I think it would be like a tape delay match. But that week, I watched Leicester play Manchester United, and the 1 player on Leicester who was American was Kasey Keller. And they got a result. This was the Martin O'Neill Leicester teams that were kind of like, they were plucky. They battled above their station. All stuff I liked. Didn't know much, but I was like, okay, I'm going to be a Leicester supporter. And at that time, Kasey Keller was the only American in the Premier League. Brad Friedel had not shown up yet; he was still playing for Columbus. John Harkes had been at Sheffield Wednesday, but he'd come to play for DC. So it was like, okay, that's the one thing I can latch on to. Kasey Keller is here. I'm going to be a fan of Leicester. They almost immediately went bankrupt, got relegated, got promoted, relegated again, got promoted, endured the most heartbreaking loss in the playoffs imaginable, and then got promoted. And after a year where they barely stayed up, I actually went that year to several matches. And when several matches a year later, as they were in the Champions League, I got to witness this team that I had chosen randomly, that was pretty much a write-off the moment after I chose them, win the Premier League and make a run into the Champions League, which is mind-blowing to me.
Crazy. Bill.
Very random.
I love this origin story. This is it's wild. I mean, I'll be honest, I can count on 0 fingers the amount of people that I've met who are like Leicester fans just and have this sort of story, you know. Like it's I think a lot of people maybe jumped on a bandwagon in 2015 and then maybe have jumped off since then, but this is man, I feel like this says a lot about you too. Just, you know, as your a character, like, you know,
stupidly loyal to a fault.
I love it. I think it's a wonderful character to have.
Plus the we can fix him energy of we'll fix Leicester. It'll take us a while, but we'll get them back up to the Premier League. I mean, there were some dark times, the Sven-Göran Eriksson era when they were like in League One. Not ideal. There were some rough stretches, but like, oh, it was so cool. I mean, that year, well, the year they won the title, I went to a bunch of matches. I went in August. They were playing West Ham at Upton Park. They won 3-0. And it's like, oh, great, 3 points. Like, we're counting to 40 here to stay up. I went in November. Thanksgiving weekend that year. I didn't go hang out with my family. I flew to Glasgow to see Celtic play in the Champions League.
Oh, wow.
For the fun of going to see them play in the Champions League.
Oh, my God.
And then flew to the East Midlands airport and saw Leicester versus Manchester United. It was the match where Jamie Vardy was going to tie Ruud van Nistelrooy's Premier League consecutive goal scoring record for consecutive matches. And so, like, I'm walking to the stadium and the fans are chanting, like, you know, we're top of the league. And like, everyone is joking. Like, it is like a collective joke with like, oh yeah, we're going to win the title. That's so like, it's such a funny thing to say. Like, no, we're going to be in a relegation battle in a month. And then they won the title. It's insane.
Unbelievable.
So incredible.
Unbelievable. I mean, my God, I just, you know, you think about the players on that Leicester team, like Jamie Vardy, like what I just felt like he was like kind of the quintessential Leicester player. Who were some of your who are some of the Leicester legends for you that you've enjoyed watching over the years?
So obviously Kasey Keller, we have to start with.
Can you show the people your soccer ball? So if you're watching this, Bill Barnwell switched out a football because, you know, he is a revered NFL and football writer, but he swapped it out for a soccer ball, which I appreciated.
I believe this is a Kasey Keller autographed soccer ball.
A Kasey Keller autographed soccer ball. Just casually. Brings it out.
This as a gift. The football phone does not work, by the way. My wife got me the football phone one year for Christmas as like a funny gift, and also got landline service. I was like, oh, you can use the football phone. And I was like, that's not good. That phone has not been used in 25 years. It's not going to start working now. It's very generous and kind. But
it's a cool prop, though.
It's a great prop for like a TV backdrop.
Looks great in a background.
It does. I have a lot of books that kind of look similar, so having a football phone helps a lot. But yeah, Kasey Keller comes to mind as like for one of the first keepers. They had a really good run of keepers back in the day.
Yeah.
Tim Flowers, Ian Walker, Kasper Schmeichel later on, who Schmeichel, I was at Leicester Sevilla in the Champions League in the round of 16. No, I mean, I was round of 16, and saving a penalty to keep them in the Champions League. One of the greatest sporting moments of my entire life. Emil Heskey, starting off back then, where you, of course, former Liverpool player, obviously.
Yes,
so
big.
That was kind of like a real introduction to me of like, oh, we don't get to keep our good things, with Jamie Vardy being the exception. Through the dark days, Andy King was there forever, like a local guy, came through the club, was there forever, made it all the way to the title-winning team. And then I think my favorite, probably N'Golo Kante, only there for 1 year. But like, just, there was a real privilege of like, this guy plays for us. And like it's so crazy because that year he gets there. They don't even start him at the beginning of the year. They started Andy King in their midfield to begin the season. And then it was like, oh no, we have this like incredible world-class midfielder. We don't even know he's that good. He's just sitting on our bench. And then he comes in and he just hoovers up the football for a full season. Just again, like that team, and then a couple of the teams that follow where we had some players come through, Yuri Tielemans, Wesley Fofana, just guys coming through where it's like, we get to have them. Like I can't imagine these like, you know, cultured, super talented players. No disrespect to Leicester, which is a totally fine town, but like not like the cosmopolitan hub of England. Just like they go to Leicester, they play in Leicester. It just blew my mind. It was so much fun to me.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Didn't Jamie Vardy, didn't he purchase like Rochester Ryan, or he was an investor in
he did.
Which yeah, I you know, Rochester and Leicester, you know, maybe there's some synergy there, you know?
That's a good point. I mean, that was such a big club back.
It was huge. My husband played for the Rhinos.
Wow.
Spent 2 seasons in Roch.
Wow.
They call it the cha-cha.
They call it the cha-cha. I don't believe that's true. You're going to have to quiz me on whether it's actually a bit or not. I mean, Rochester Rhinos were like a big club.
I know.
That were like one of those clubs where turn of the century MLS, it was like, oh, they might actually get an MLS team because they're such a well-supported local team in Rochester.
Yeah. So they were huge. I know, but I remember being like, wait, Jamie Vardy is going to be involved in this? I was like, does he know? Is he privy? Is he privy about Roch?
I feel like he had like, it was sort of like a Jay-Z owning the Brooklyn Nets kind of thing, where it was like, you just maybe that tiny bit of
sign your name
Rochester,
here.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
The most controversial thing that's ever happened to Jamie Vardy, obviously, is Rochester Rhinos ownership.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And, you know, the drama with his wife, which was so good. And Colleen Rooney. I was obviously just, you know. I was very excited when we had some Christian Pulisic gossip make it to the New York Post, because I was like, I read something that was like, once that happens, you're a footballing nation. Like really, when your stars are, you know, in their love lives and dating lives are being scrutinized, that's when you know. And so I felt very excited about that.
The good thing is nothing else about Christian Pulisic is being scrutinized.
No,
or, nothing is concerning right now about him.
Nothing, not a thing.
Everything else is great.
Everything's peachy and wonderful. I am so fascinated, Bill. Like you saying you went to a Celtic game, like that is incredible. Yes. Like I said, I had no idea that you loved the sport so much. What has been your like best like football soccer viewing live experience? Because like that is I want to go to an Old Firm so bad. Like that's like bucket list stuff for me. But it sounds like you've had some pretty awesome experiences. Can
I tell you what my least favorite experience was?
Of course, yes, absolutely.
A Merseyside derby between Everton and Liverpool.
You know what? I can kind of see why that would.
Here was the problem.
Not be at the top.
So it was at Everton. It was at Goodison Park, which is already like, okay, like I would love to go to Anfield. I have not been yet, but it was at Goodison Park, so that's a little bit not ideal. Liverpool were in between Champions League matches, and so they basically rested their entire first team. And so it was like Liverpool backups, like Liverpool B team versus Everton. And it was just like just a drab, no draw. It just was like, like you could tell everyone there who went to these matches regularly, everyone who goes to like Liverpool Everton matches regularly, were just like, yeah, we're getting like the understudy. You know, we went to the play. We were expecting the big star. We got the understudy. They're trying their best, but it did not have the energy I was hoping for. So I would say that was probably my most disappointing, because my expectations were just so high going to, you know, a classic English derby. Best Leicester Sevilla Champions League.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just the surrealness of they're playing the Champions League music at the King Power Stadium. I went to 2 Champions League matches that year.
Wow.
Leicester Copenhagen. That was so great. So that was during the football season. I wrote my column Sunday night, got finished at like 5 a.m. I was living in New York, so I was living at JFK. There were a million flights to London. Got up, did my podcast, went to JFK, flew to London Monday night, landed Tuesday morning, took the train from London to Leicester, got there Tuesday afternoon, napped, went to the match Tuesday night, which was so cool. Copenhagen fans were just lighting Leicester Stadium on fire, which was wonderful. Leicester wins. go to sleep, wake up, train back to London, train back to London, fly back to New York. I'm back home by Wednesday evening, do my column for Wednesday evening.
Man.
So it's a 48-hour trip to Leicester to go see Leicester. Because when was it going to happen again? It was never going to happen again.
That's so right.
Leaving Leicester aside, best experiences. I went to go see Malmo. No, sorry. I went to go see Malmo. That was something match I'm thinking of. I saw Malmo and I saw, might have been AIK. I saw AIK play at I think at the time it was the Friends Arena. Is that the Avicii Arena? It might be the Avicii Arena now. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. It's gonna be. It's a match. I have never seen a Swedish team play before. I saw Malmo a couple of years later, and it was like, well, it'll be fun. Like how could it not be fun? So I didn't realize how much Scandinavian fans get after it. I thought it was going to be like kind of like a meek, mild.
They got to find some way to stay warm, Bill.
This was like March too. It was like March in Stockholm, so it was freezing and dark.
Yeah.
And it's an indoor stadium, and so the road support are lighting off flares, and I'm like, that's a lot of flares for an indoor stadium. And 20 minutes in, there's still smoke in the arena, and there's an announcement. And it's in Swedish. I don't speak Swedish, but people start getting up, and it's clear they're evacuating the arena because there's too much smoke. And I'm like, well, I guess we're headed out for a bit. And then we all went out in the cold, and then 20 minutes later we came back, and the match continued. But it was just like, this thing of, I'm not expecting this experience from my my random trip here. I mean, I feel like that was a fun one. I saw Spurs West Ham at Upton Park, where Gareth Bale had a last minute winner. That was my first Premier League match I went to, so that was really cool to go see. I feel like I'm always intrigued, but like if I'm going somewhere, and I've been lucky to travel to a lot of places, just that thing of, I can go to a match here. Like I went to the Melbourne Derby when I was in Melbourne, and I was like, this is great. Like it's like a little bit of like getting to see what the culture and excitement about a city is like.
That is, it's so amazing. And I feel like you've had experiences that I dream of, which is really, really cool. And it's funny because like the way you're talking about soccer, and there's such a clear love and passion for it. Like, did you ever consider like writing about soccer instead of NFL? Or is that, in some ways, is it like, what, that's my sacred thing, and that's the thing I get to just be a fan of, rather than it being my job? But I'm just curious, like, because you've clearly been into it for a long time, a big chunk of your life. Like, was that ever a path you considered?
I mean, I would have loved to.
Yeah.
I mean, NFL kind of established itself, and so it was like, well, NFL is a good business.
It's pretty good.
People are really interested in the NFL. I've done some soccer stuff here and there. Like I've done like a Premier League like awards column, best and worst transfer, stuff like that. But the idea of like reporting on soccer, or like doing really detailed, like deep dive quantitative analysis, I mean, it just requires so much work to do it right. I mean, looking at people who do it right, it's like, I can sit here and talk about players. I can talk about it from the perspective of like, who do I enjoy watching? But just the element of really doing it to the extent that I try to do football, it has to be a full-time thing, especially when you're talking about so many different leagues, so many different players, so many different competitions. Like football is very busy and hectic, and all the matches happen at once, and that's kind of a problem. But at least there's only 6 or 17 games a year for each team. Like, if you're talking about Liverpool with any sort of like insight, you're watching 55, 60 matches. Maybe you're watching some like, reserve matches. You're watching people who are playing on loan. Like, it's just the sheer breadth of what you have to do is so significant that I feel like I'd have to really commit to it. Like, I'd really have to be like, okay, I'm leaving the NFL and covering soccer full time, or covering an element of soccer full time. And that is, at this point I'm too old. Like, at this point, it's just like I feel like I've figured out a little bit about NFL, and it's like I might as well just stick with that.
I think you've done pretty well in the NFL space, Bill.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, there is something to that though. That idea of like, okay, I can watch this as a fan and know I can have totally off the wall opinions, not like really bad opinions, but just like, I can be really emotional and be like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Yeah, Chelsea should fire their manager every 3 months. That's a great idea. Like Chelsea, if they just sack their manager one more time, they're gonna fix it.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's 100% the opinions that you can form, and it comes from like these like deep places. It's funny because I'm obviously like I've got my Liverpool kit on, I've got my You'll Never Walk Alone here. And so I'm fortunate that in like a talking head position, like I can give those opinions, but it was really tough when I was working at CBS, and I had to be like I had to take the fandom out of myself, and it was like it was horrible. I hated it. And I was like, no, this is not what I want to say. Like it was bad. But now we're in a good space here at Kickback Soccer Media. I can kind of say what I want.
You can be your actual earnest, honest self, which is great. I mean, you also got to, when you were at CBS, oversee what was a, if not constant level of success from Liverpool, at least get to see like a very positive era for
it's true. It's true. That was nice. Yeah, I've been very happy that and relieved that I am not there this season, because it's been definitely a wildly inconsistent season for Liverpool. But I
will say, so we had a child last year for the first time, and I did buy him a Liverpool kit. So decent chance we have a 1-year-old Liverpool supporter waddling around the house.
I love that. I love that for your child. What's your baby's
Graham.
name?
His name is Graham.
Okay, Graham. Listen, if he needs a Liverpool loving, godmama figure, you know who to send baby Graham to, because I've got.
He unfortunately did not get to see much of the title season. He was pretty much passed out for the first couple of months. There was a moment where I was like away for the weekend for work, and my wife sent me a photo of him watching a Liverpool match where they blew a lead, and he was crying. So he may have the capacity to. Yeah, he could really sense that just the vibe was not where it needed to be.
He did. Yeah, it's going to be, you know what? This is one of these seasons where I'm like, I'm going to be kind of relieved when this is over. Sure. If we make Champions League, I'll be like, okay, that's great. But I've fallen off the Arne Slot train. And I feel like I've just, I don't think he's very well liked in the locker room, is the sense that I'm getting. I don't know that the players are playing for him. And so that's where I'm like, okay, like when Virgil van Dijk, who is my favorite player and I think an unbelievable captain, is, basically questioning the efforts of everyone, and they're not playing, the team's not performing well. We're not playing well enough for the fans. I feel like there's probably a problem at the top. And so yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. I just look at, and this is true of all sports, right? Like, it's not just soccer. It's true of the NFL. It's true of all American sports. It's so hard to replace the guy. Like, it is.
Oh,
I mean, I look at United and what a disaster they have been since Alex Ferguson left. And like they had the plan that like you would sit here and be like, okay, find a coach who has delivered with less around, in the same country, where literally the guy leaving is endorsing him.
Yep.
We gave the prior guy like decades of time, years before he really succeeded. Like, we're just going to follow that plan and we're great. And United fired David Moyes after a year because it's really hard to replace the guy. I feel like with Arne Slot, like, yes, he was able to kind of take that last version of that Klopp team to a title, and that year where they didn't really buy anybody, they already had the continuity. It just felt like so much changed so quickly this year, and it just feels like such an impossible situation to take over from one of the most legendary and memorable managers of the Premier League era.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And it was such a surprise, I think, last season when they achieved that level of success, because I mean no one really saw that coming at all, least of all me. But then you realize that, when you looked at the players, it was like, well, all of these guys, there's a continuity there. They have all played together for a very, very long time. And then to your point, in this offseason, I will say when Liverpool started spending money with abandon, I almost had a panic attack because I'm like, well, that's not what we do.
Right.
That's not what we do. We're good at business. Like
especially to the extent that they spent, right?
Yeah.
Like if they just signed one or two players, they signed Kirkes, they sign a player here or there. Okay, like whatever. You're
great.
Like,
exactly. I know. And I just like the Ekatike and Isak situation to me was like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like what?
You don't need two of those.
No. So that's where I was. The red flags started going up. So
okay, I have a question.
Yes,
Susannah, you have been given control of Liverpool Football Club.
Oh God.
What are you doing this offseason? Are you firing Slot and hiring somebody else? And if so, who are you hiring?
I mean, I think the obvious, and I think this is what the Anfield faithful are all kind of clamoring for, is Xabi Alonso, for multiple reasons. I do think that it's not so much based on his style of play, because I think that doesn't necessarily align with the way Liverpool has played in the past. But in terms of man management, I think that he is a guy that he understands what it is to play for Liverpool. So he, number one, he gets it. He's got a really good command. He's very good at specifying to his players like their role. Like they know they know what their role is, and allows them to kind of flourish in those very specific roles, because I feel like that's what a good manager does, is like, this is what I need you for. This is what you're going to do. And he's very good at that type of delegation. His experience working with a Florian Wirtz and a Jeremy Frimpong, like those are guys that he's familiar with. Just kind of just this like level of respect that I think that he would bring. So that would be my biggest move. I think the Arne Slot thing, I think almost like do him a favor, like let him go now. Because people are turning and if the next season starts out poor, it's just, I don't think it's a good look. And I just feel like this season was such a disappointment. What a woeful title defense. It was so, it just was like the air got completely sucked out of the Anfield bubble. And so I think they definitely need a change up top. I think that their back line is really, as much as I hate to say it, like you've started to see the legs start to go for like a Virgil van Dijk. I know they tried to sign Mark Gahey. That didn't work. They signed the kid from Parma, and I can't remember. He's an Italian player, and then he just got hurt. Did his ACL in his very first game. So they need to really pay attention to that back line. They've never really found. Jeremy Frimpong is much more. He's better when he's playing higher up the pitch. He's more dynamic. He's more explosive. And so I think a right back is another area of need. Kirkes has done a pretty good job. And then you got to replace Mo. I think, we need a dynamic right winger, and, a left winger while we're at it, because Cody Gakpo ain't it for me. Sorry. We miss Luis Diaz. We miss that creativeness and explosiveness. So there's, there's some work. There's a lot of work to do, and they spent a lot of money last summer. So we'll see. It's like I said, I just kind of want this season to be over.
Well, the good news is, Susannah, you could be facing back-to-back relegations. Most of your first team staff out of contract. Your club could be there are so many protests against Leicester management that I think people have just kind of got tired. They're just not showing up at this point. They're just like, oh, you get it. Like, we don't like this guy. We're just gonna not show up this time. It is such a difficult conundrum, because from my perspective, when they won the title and I got to see them play in the Champions League, I was like, I am good. Whatever happens from this point forward, I cannot be mad. I cannot be upset. Like, yes, I want to see them win. I want to see them do well. I was bummed when they missed out very narrowly on the Champions League a couple times. Under kind of murky circumstances. City appealed a what would have been a ban. The COVID year hit, and they were in position to win, and then were at the same club once they came back playing without. And if they had just ended the season at that point, Leicester would, I believe, been in the Champions League. Drop points right at the end of the year one year to miss out, and like the club's path changes if they make one of those two Champions League spots, which is, it happens, whatever. But like, I said to myself, like, okay, like they won the league, they made it to the Champions League. I can never be mad again. Like, this was a club that
I know.
If they had never made it back to the Premier League, I would have been okay. Mm-hmm. So for that to happen, but they're really testing me.
Yeah,
they're really pushing the envelope with like,
I get it,
ending up in League One with no players.
It's yeah, I it's, I'm trying to relate it to some. Well, okay, so like I'm a Chicago Cubs fan.
Yep.
I will always have 2016.
You will.
I will always have that. I saw it. It happened. I know it happened. My dad got to see it. It's just kind of, and I know there's not promotion relegation, and Cubs are always going to be like a big market team, but like they're not very good. And once again, they've started the season, they're not very good. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I can kind of relate in that sense, but
yeah. And
you got to celebrate the good moments,
yes,
like the very small wins. You got to find the small wins, Bill. Yes. As a Leicester fan,
I would take any win. I don't think they've won in like 6 months. So if they could, they had that like league record for most matches in a row without a clean sheet. So they got one clean sheet and then a draw, and it was like basically like winning the title all over again for Leicester.
Man, I also applaud you for, you said you bought your son Graham a Liverpool shirt. Like you're basically like saying like, it's okay, I don't want this for you. I don't want this Leicester fandom for you. That is man, what a dad move.
That's not his burden to bear. And frankly, it's a lot easier to find a Liverpool kit in
it's true.
0 to 3 to 6 month size than a Leicester kit. Maybe a few years ago there would have been more Leicester infant kits available, but harder to find.
It's true. Okay, Bill, let's chat a little World Cup talk, okay? Please. Because as we are recording this, we are less than 60 days away.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
From this, I know. We have been talking about, like, in the soccer media space, we have been building up to this for like 8 years, and I'm like,
yes,
holy crap, like it's here, which is just wild. But I'm being the big soccer guy, you are like, what is your excitement level for this World Cup? Because I feel like there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in US soccer. Like, what, as opposed to like, say like a 2014 or a 2010, like where are you at with this World Cup?
Oof. It's complicated, isn't it?
I know it is.
It's you feel a lot of things, and some of them conflict with each other. I will say there was that part of me 2010 2014 that would have been like, oh, we're getting a World Cup in the US, I am going to go to 25 matches. I am going to either convince someone to let me write about matches and go around the country, I will just buy a bunch of tickets. And now I have a wife and a child and a dog, and I'm like, yeah, I'll drive to Foxborough for Haiti, Scotland, and go to one match and probably just watch everything else on TV. That part of me that would have been like, no, I'm going to overdose on this, is not going to happen. That has changed. I am simultaneously excited about the quality of the US team going in, and then maybe not as emotionally attached to the US team as maybe I would have been for World Cup past, which I don't.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, I don't know if I can say on a camera as an ESPN employee. No, I mean, I just, it is a interesting time to sort of focus on a very patriotic thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's this, how can I put this? It's just a complicated time. I think to be a US supporter, and there's, the memories I have of certain elements of watching the US in the past, both in person and on television, sometimes in
Mm-hmm.
Spanish language programming, sometimes in the wee hours of the morning, often in the wee hours of the morning when it comes to the World Cup. Just, I really cherish those.
Yeah.
And I really don't know what I'll feel watching this team. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's going to be really fascinating to be like this thing of, we have a really competitive team with some actual work, like actual really talented players at home. Like, it should be very productive. And in the past, when the team wasn't as good, or it wasn't, the expectations weren't as high,
Mm-hmm.
I was almost more excited, because it was like, well, seeing them qualify out of a group is fun. Seeing
Mm-hmm.
them, shut down Italy, in an actual World Cup match, and holding them to a draw with 10 men was really impressive. Like, you kind of latched onto little things and had little victories. Now it feels like, maybe because of the expectations, maybe because it's home, maybe because of all the other stuff, it feels like I don't really know how to calibrate like what would be successful and what I would get joy from necessarily from this World Cup.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I'm with you all the way on that, because it does feel like, we've got talented players, and guys that are playing and getting regular minutes on big clubs in Europe, which we haven't always
Mm-hmm.
seen. And so
Mm-hmm.
my fear is that, yeah, like, the expectations are almost too high. I mean, I think collectively in the soccer media space, we have all said, like, getting out of the group is a must.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a failure to emerge from this group, especially the group that we've drawn,
Yeah.
which is favorable, would be an absolute kind of disaster for
Mm-hmm.
U.S. soccer. So the expectation, and then people keep floating out like quarterfinals, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, it's hard. Like,
It
it's
is.
really hard to get to a World Cup quarterfinal.
Yeah.
And so I struggle with a few things with this team. I struggle with, like, what is the identity of
Mm-hmm.
this
For sure.
US side, just from a personnel
Yeah.
standpoint, like the players we have, like how do we play? Because I feel like, when I think about like the 2014 and the 2010, even like the
Mm-hmm.
2002 team,
For
like
sure.
grit, like
Yeah.
just this, like
We
they
can run.
would fight like hell.
Mm-hmm.
They will run you off the pitch. They are going to be
Mm-hmm.
physical, and they are not going to be intimidated. And there was this sort of just brute force that they brought to every match.
Yeah.
And they were not the most tactical. They were not the most talented, but
No.
man, were they competitors. And
Sure.
I don't think we have that edge anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that is the identity of the last sort of, few cycles of US teams that we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good point. And I think it's kind of a reality and like a function of the growth of the talent pool in a way. Like, I think when we were playing from 1990 to 2022, pretty much, unless we were playing a really small country, the US were underdogs, and the US did not have a technical advantage, probably did not have a tactical advantage from coaching down. And so they had no choice
Yeah.
but to sort of be, especially like, and I'm not considering qualifying here, just more on the World Cup stage, whether or the Confederations Cup stage, I guess, when they beat Spain. Like, it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna outplay them. Like, we're gonna we're gonna keep possession, and we're going to be this really aggressive. They had no choice but to be a low block counter, rely on energy, press, and try to create takeaways kind of team. And that was, you sort of have your identity defined by the fact that you don't have a technical advantage most of the time against the best clubs or best countries. And so then now it's not like we have that advantage all the time, but like playing someone like a Wales, for example, in the
Mm-hmm.
World Cup a few years ago, like, outside of a couple players on Wales, we did have a better team. We had a more talented team, a team that should on paper be, control possession. And so I think
Yeah.
that, like, now, as this sort of country evolves and there is a higher level of talent in the talent pool, like, you have more choices tactically. You don't have to just be a team that's countering and a team that's playing a low block or a team that's just relying on sheer energy. And so I think forming that identity is tough, because like there's access to an identity that this country didn't have in soccer until a few years ago.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. And it's going to be we've got this expanded field this
Yep.
year. I mean, there's so many teams.
Yes.
And we've been doing all these, country specific podcasts for leading up to the World Cup.
That's cool.
And you realize, like, we're doing these deep dives into these countries, and we're like, gee, man, like there are very few like bad teams in this World Cup. Like,
yes.
Because so many of these players now are playing at really high levels all over the world. And so you just, the ones that seemingly, like, when you think about France, Germany, Spain, like
Sure.
these, England even at this point, like the ones that are, sort of always considered favorites and ones that are projected to do very well in 2026, I feel like they've got so much history behind them that has helped them form this identity, that it's like when players get called up, like that is already there. Like they know where they have to, like what their place is within this team, because they have to play the Germany way, the Spain way, the France way. Like we don't have that yet. And I feel like this is a moment that, especially with it being on home soil, like we need to capitalize. When we think about 1994 and what happened afterwards, and the advent of MLS and how it was such this moment, like we grapple all the time in the soccer space about like, how do we capitalize on this? Like what do we do? From like somebody who covers the most popular sport in our country now, like how do you feel like we can harness this moment and make it a big moment for soccer in North America?
I think so much comes down to how, I mean, I'm saying US focused here. Like obviously Canada and Mexico and their performances will impact those countries, but like in terms of the US, in terms of MLS, like it feels like so much comes down to how this team performs and how it does. And like, the things you can do to capitalize on a quarterfinals appearance, a team that that looks impressive throughout the tournament, that comes up short versus a situation where they don't get out of the group. It just feels totally different based on those two scenarios. And I mean, I've always hated that idea of like, what if America's best athletes played soccer? Like, it doesn't work that way. It's the dumbest thing in the whole world.
I know.
But I do think there is this thing of like a confidence thing to me. Just that thing of okay, yes, the next World Cup is not going to be in the US. We're not going to have another World Cup in for generations in the US most likely. But that thing of, oh no, we belong. Like, oh no, our like we're not just gonna have our occasional trip out of the group and maybe we get lucky and win one match in the round of 16, which isn't even the round of 16 anymore. Every 20 years. Like we are outside of the major European countries, outside of the major South American countries, like in a tier where every year or every World Cup, our expectation is that we're going to qualify, and every World Cup we're going to advance out of our group. Like, I think being on the same tier as Mexico on a global stage, I think would mean a lot. And then, I do think there's this thing of like, and really was true for the last, like when MLS started, it felt like for so many years, MLS wanted to basically take soccer and make it American. And what people found over and over and over again is that in the vast majority of cases, fans did not want that. Fans wanted the experience they saw in the Premier League, they would in Serie A, in the Bundesliga, of like, same but different. Like we didn't want to have as much as I love the old MLS shootout, they did not want that. They did not want, they didn't want like franchise names. I mean, it's such a classic. But like they wanted this thing that felt European, that felt South American, that it was different, but it was North American. And I think engaging with that, and I think discovering, fans discovering, oh, like the culture of soccer is so cool. Oh, like the culture of being at a stadium is cool. I think if it leads to broader attendances, more people want to go check out the incredible atmospheres in Seattle, in Atlanta, in Columbus. I think if that happens and more fans are going because they watch and they see, oh, it's not just that I like the sport, but the culture around the sport is so fun and can be so fun, and it can be so fun to be part of that experience, I think would be a real goal. So I think you're going to see that if you get a fun World Cup. Although I will say, I don't know how you feel about the World Cup, Susannah. I think it is going to be total chaos, and I'm so excited for it.
I don't want it to be Bill, but yeah, that's kind of the direction
So
I'm thinking it
more
might go in.
clubs or more countries, just
Yeah.
like when the Euros expanded, like Wales made a deep run. It was the year Iceland beat England, I believe.
Yeah.
It was more chaotic. So I think that it's going to be hot as hell. It's going to be at the end of the season. Everyone's going to be tired. I think, unfortunately for the U.S. and for some other clubs, countries as well, I think pressing is going to be a nightmare. It's going to be too hot to press. I think you're going to see like a lot of the European countries just melt down. And we see this, right? Like when the World Cup is played outside of Europe, it usually leads to more teams from outside of Europe succeeding and thriving.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting. I think that's going to make for a really fun World Cup. Maybe just if you're an England supporter or a I think France is going to do fine. I just want to pick on England because it's always fun to pick on England.
It is fun
I don't
to pick
think
on
England are going to do well.
I like that hot take, Bill. I think that's really fun.
England are not really England fun. Are going to disappoint in a World Cup.
There we go. Yeah. Headlines. But no, I kind of love that. I love it. I do love that because they are fun to pick on, and it's just they're just an easy.
If they can beat the U.S. in a World Cup match, I will happily put it aside. But they've had multiple chances. It's been 70 years. They can't do it.
Can't do it. Sorry, guys. Do you have a second team in the World Cup?
Ooh. That's a good. But the problem was my second team was going to be Australia.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's complicated now.
Yeah.
I will root for Canada as well. I think it'll be cool if they do well. Getting to see some of those players play in MLS.
I agree.
Like I went to Vancouver and I saw Alphonso Davies play as a teenager back in the day, and that was really cool. So I guess some of those players, seeing them in MLS, seeing them play in CONCACAF qualifying when we needed to qualify, I think it'll be cool to see them do well. So I'll be rooting for Canada as well.
We've been putting together this we're trying to create like a BuzzFeed list for people to pick their second team. So those quizzes where it's like, would you rather go on a vacation at the beach or in the city, like kind of thing. And so I'm gathering from your you like to have like players that you've watched before, like that kind of like player connection. That's sort of a qualifier for you.
Some kind of familiar.
We're gonna add it to the list.
Link. You should.
We're gonna because I like that.
If a lot of Leicester players were playing in the World Cup, but unfortunately, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I haven't picked mine yet. I'm open. So yeah, I'm going to be taking all this information in.
You don't have any lean right now?
I've always enjoyed. I'm more of like a vibes person, like with the fans and like how they celebrate, and like Colombia always just like kind of brings it, and I always love their kits, and they just look like they're having fun. So Colombia in years past has been my second team, but I've not committed fully yet, so I need to get on it.
Are you going to do like the college football thing where you have like three hats or three kits in front of you and then pick one?
Do you know what? I'd probably be great content. Not that I'm like a content queen, but like that would, you gave me a great content queen to do good content. Douglas, our producer, is like, content idea. Ding, 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 ding. Yep. No, Bill Barnwell is full of good ideas. It's amazing. I've got a couple more things for you before I let you go. One, you mentioned that you are a Red Bulls guy, Red Bulls fan. Yeah. What are your thoughts so far on their MLS season under one head coach, Michael Bradley? Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. They're playing the kids.
Are you a play the kids proponent?
Of course, I'm gonna play the kids.
Is that because you've been hanging out with Matt Doyle?
It's playing too much championship manager, playing too much football manager. My default is always to play the kids. And I mean the kids look pretty darn good. It's not like they're playing kids and they're playing terrible.
I know.
That is exciting to me.
It is exciting.
It's tough because I just look at how much other clubs spend, especially in major markets. And it's just like, man, we could have such a incredible team here if we were spending a little more on players.
Agreed.
If they were filling that third designated player slot. They have Eric Choupo-Moting, who's not even starting for them anymore in a DP role. I think just like that thing of that club, that area has brought through so much incredible talent, all the way to the U.S. national team and to Europe, and it's such a shame that they don't maximize that. So I'm excited with the young players playing. I would love it if they got more support from the Red Bull program, and if they spent more. But I'm going to take my little victories here and just say they're a fun team to watch so far this season.
I love that. It's been a theme today. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins. Okay, I lied. I actually have like 2 or 3 more things for you.
Go for it.
So we do this like sort of social segment that we're going to compile. So I'm just going to ask, it's kind of like 5 quick fire things. Starting with number 1, who is your favorite athlete? Doesn't have to be soccer.
Ooh. My favorite athlete? That is a good question. I have no... You said quick fire, and my mind immediately went blank. I grew up as a big hockey fan as well, and so I might say like Peter Bondra, who was a hockey player for the Washington Capitals many years ago.
Wow.
It was good for a long time. So pulling out some mid-90s hockey references. I was not expecting that on the show.
Man.
So I will say...
You just made our producer's day. He's a huge Washington Caps fan.
I also grew up a Capitals fan, so it checks out. So Peter Bondra is my favorite.
That's a deep cut, and I love it. So good. Okay. Bill Barnwell, what's your walk-up song?
Ooh. I love... whenever I do this, I would say there is a video game song. Can I choose that?
Yeah, of course.
So it is the pause music to GoldenEye. There is a when you pause GoldenEye for the N64, there's like a insane beat that drops from it's like a modification of the James Bond theme song. So that is my pick.
I love that. That's an original. No one will have that answer.
A lot of mid-90s references here so far.
It's right up my alley. Your favorite sound in sports?
Favorite sound is fans getting excited something cool is about to happen. That like when you've like, hockey breakaway, football, that like, oh God, there's a pass and the guy is wide open downfield and he's going to score a touchdown. Soccer of like, a through ball and you can see, your star strikers about to latch onto it. That heightened excitement between nothing has happened and, oh, this is going to be great. That's
Tingles.
So much fun to me.
Tingles.
Yeah, no
Great answer. Great answer. Your favorite World Cup moment?
Brian McBride header against Portugal, because like the first goal, it's like, oh, we got a scrappy corner kick goal. Second goal was like weird. Like I watching 3 a.m. On like a 12-inch TV in college, and it's like, okay, like I don't know how that went in, but it went in great. And then the third goal was like, oh no, that happened on purpose. That was the only time I have watched a game and actually thought I was hallucinating. Like I actually was pinching myself, like, oh my God, this is really happening against Portugal. That was
amazing.
It was so great.
Oh, so good. So good. And then lastly, who is going to win the 2026 World Cup?
Whew. Well, not picking any European teams, obviously, based on my dumb theory. I am going to say Argentina. I don't think they will lose to Saudi Arabia on the way like they did last time. I don't know if Lionel Messi will be the star of the tournament, but I do think incredible attacking talent. I think really smart. They are going to they're going to play this tournament the way it needs to be played, which is going to be aggressive, which is going to have to be taking advantage of a few opportunities. I just have to stick with them. So I'm saying Argentina.
Okay, that's fair. And then I lied. This one's just for me.
Sure.
Am I wrong to be excited about the Chicago Bears this season?
Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Oh!
I hate to break this to you.
Bill!
It's not going to be as bad as the year after the Mitch Trubisky season. I do think they have a really good coach and a really good quarterback. But like there was so much like crazy stuff that happened at the end of their games last year. It's not going to be this year.
You don't think that luck's going to continue?
I don't think Caleb's going to like drop back 30 yards and hit like a Hail Mary to extend games. There was that game against the Commanders they were going to lose, and then like Jaden Daniels just drops a snap. And like I picked the Bears to be good last year. I was benefiting from all this. I was excited watching them like come up with crazy stuff every week to win games. But like, I know that's not a real thing.
No, I know. In my head, I was like just trying to convince myself that like, oh no, they're mentality monsters. They just know
everything are mentality monsters.
They got to dig deep, and Ben Johnson's just got them believing. And yeah,
I buy. I think Ben Johnson's a really good coach, and I think Caleb's going to be a pretty good quarterback. I think the defense is a little messy,
a little sus.
And
okay,
I think they're going to be a little tougher. Schedule's going to be a first place schedule this year. The division's tough. I think they're going to be okay. I still think they're going to win the division.
Okay, Bill. Sorry. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're friends. We tell each other the truth, and I appreciate it.
We got through like 55 minutes without hitting any NFL stuff. So
I know.
We should take that as a victory.
I do. You knew I had to throw one in there though at the end. Bill, this has been so much fun. Thank you so very much for taking the time. I love talking soccer with you. I want to do this again. I hope one day we can like hang out over beers and watch matches together. We'll get Doyle into the mix. It'll be fantastic. But tell people where they can follow you, read your stuff, all of that.
Yeah. Twitter and Blue Sky at Bill Barnwell, or whatever the Blue Sky like weird stuff is appended to the end of the name. I'm on ESPN. I write about the NFL about 99% of the time. If you Google me and like Premier League or soccer, you'll find some stuff from a few years ago that I wrote here and there, but maybe more than like 5 or 6 pieces. And some of them are like 2016 awards, which are not really going to be very useful a decade later. But mostly if I'm going to talk on soccer, it's mostly going to be on those socials, and I will definitely be tweeting or blue skying about the World Cup, which will be probably annoying to most of my audience, but hopefully not annoying to the people watching this.
Definitely not to us, because you know ball, as they say. Bill Barnwell, you're the best. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for listening and watching. We're having so much fun here on Open Mic, so keep coming back for more conversations. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of our other podcasts, including Kickback Committee, Soccer Wise, and First Touch. Subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't. Give us a follow on those socials and tell your friends, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.